Welcome to Politics for Patriots. Here's your host, the eviscerator of progressive nonsense, the executioner of imbecility, and the grim reaper of BS, Eddie Zipper.
Welcome to 2018, where real feminism means attacking Susan Collins for her wrong think. I mean, how 1984 is 2018 when men in the mainstream media get to gain feminist street cred by attacking Susan Collins for not doing what they wanted her to do? Grant Pardee, who writes for Vice and The Guardian, I don't know this guy, but he looks like a super woke millennial. He looks like that millennial who sits in the Starbucks drinking a soy unicorn frappuccino, tweeting about the wonders of Marxism on his iPhone. You binge on Netflix, your life revolves around Xbox, YouTube videos, and social media. You don't know how to live without your unlimited data plan from AT&T. All your politics trickle down to you from Hollywood celebrities. I've got news for you, dude. That Che Guevara t-shirt, you bought that on Amazon. You are not a Marxist. You are a moron.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
That was Buford T. Justice weighing in there. Anyway, here's what this Grant Pardee guy tweeted. Quote, "Dog owners, don't waste those bags of your dog's poop. Box and send to Susan Collins." And he included her Senate office address in the tweet. So, he is saying you should scoop dog poop into a box and mail it to Susan Collins because you don't like the way that she voted. Okay.
Feel good about that? Feel good about what you just said?
When you are a self-righteous millennial beta male, no, beta is too high on the food chain. When you are a self-righteous millennial omega male, you can actually be deluded enough to think that you are somehow more of a feminist than Susan Collins. You can actually, without any knowledge of the irony involved, explain to Susan Collins that you are a great champion of women while she is human garbage. I don't know what this week's definition of feminism is, but I do know that when a woman does what Susan Collins did yesterday, that ought to be the definition. She had to have guards with her to get past all the kooky screaming protesters who are taking the heckler's veto to the next level. It's not just about stopping Ben Shapiro from speaking at your campus anymore. It has graduated from that. It's now about trying to intimidate elected officials. So all these people were screaming at Susan Collins. The media, the McPundits, and the leftists have all been telling her for months, you must vote no. If you don't vote no, then you hate women, and that will be your legacy. That's how they threaten you with your legacy. Oh, the history books will say, oh, that Susan Collins was a monster. If you don't vote no, you hate women. This pretty much sums it up. After Collins announced how she was voting, the Women's March tweeted a picture of Collins with a giant red text block that says, "Rape apologist."
Well, no one's going to top that.
That is the price for wrong think. And that's the Women's March tweeting that. That is a movement that claims to be empowering women. And here they are smearing a woman as a rape apologist because she refused to conform to their idea of what the collective opinion of women should be. The Women's March empowers women to believe what? Exactly what they are told to believe? That doesn't sound very empowering to me. Susan Collins is a patriot. And she proved that yesterday. She was not willing to offer up Brett Kavanaugh as a human sacrifice, even though the metoo gods allegedly demanded it. I don't always agree with Susan Collins on everything, but she is a patriot. Right? And she's receiving the 2 minutes of hate from the left right now. One verified idiot tweeted this: "Never let Collins have a moment of peace in public again." Never let Collins have a moment of peace in public again. Why? Because she thinks that we should have a higher standard for destroying a person's life than unspecific, uncorroborated allegations made 30 years after the fact. Or perhaps 36 years after the fiction. I don't know. She thinks allegations alone should not destroy a person's life. And that is unacceptable to the left, who has their new tactic, shouting government officials down in restaurants or in public in an attempt to intimidate them. It's about controlling them. We saw it happen to Sarah Sanders, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz. The left wants to live in a world where anyone they disagree with is just one allegation away from total destruction. They reject the Republican form of government. They want to decide for everyone without their political opponents being involved in the decision. They want to destroy the dissenters. Remember what Clarence Thomas had to say about that when this exact same thing happened to him.
I think something is dreadfully wrong with this country when any person in this free country would be subjected to this. This is not a closed room. There was an FBI investigation. This is not an opportunity to talk about difficult matters privately or in a closed environment. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. And from my standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
Is that powerful enough for you? So what is a lynching? It is when an angry mob doles out punishment without a trial, without due process. The offense is so terrible that it transcends due process. The allegations are enough. That is never the case. Not ever. And that's exactly what Senator Collins said yesterday. The presumption of innocence is an American value. The left dragged out this talking point that no evidence beyond the allegations was necessary because a Senate confirmation is a job interview, not a trial. Oh, well, why didn't you say so? Of course, it's okay to destroy Judge Kavanaugh without evidence because this isn't a trial. It's just a job interview. Yeah, right. You set that precedent that it's okay to destroy someone based on allegations alone, and I guarantee you it'll happen to every conservative appointed to any office or running for any office. It won't happen to the left because that is simply not a conservative tactic. Most conservatives will be content to play by the rules of good conduct while the left steamrolls us out of existence. You can see that in an extreme case like Jeff Flake. Flake is the worst kind of conservative, pretending to be swayed on an issue because some random protester screamed at him in an elevator. Don't do that. Okay? We know that that didn't change your mind. Don't be an idiot. That is ridiculous. That does not change your mind. You operate based on your ideology, your worldview. You don't operate because somebody said something to you in an elevator and it just persuaded you because it was emotional. That is just plumb dumb. I'll tell you what, this started out as a Supreme Court confirmation hearing, but it became a proxy war. On one side of this proxy war was the Constitution and American values. On the other side was identity politics and mob justice. And we were an inch away from no joy in Mudville. We almost lost. We would have lost if the mighty Collins had struck out. Instead, she hit it out of the park.
High ball deep left field. Yes, sir, there she goes.
And the speech that she made will be long remembered as a courageous stand against the full onslaught of leftist mobbery.
No, there's no justice like angry mob justice.
The speech was so good, she might as well have had half her face painted blue. Felt like St. Crispin's Day. Okay, she didn't call anybody any names. She didn't drop any invective. She simply stated simple American values for those who have apparently forgotten them. So why did we almost lose? We almost lost because so many people were afraid to say that they didn't totally believe Dr. Ford. Right? Nobody wants to be called a rape apologist. There is a real fear in America of being called sexist, racist, all those labels Hillary Clinton dropped on Trump supporters like they were nothing. That's what happened to Susan Collins. The Women's March labeled her a rape apologist. The rest of the left is labeling her those things on Twitter and in the media as we speak. So many people on the right think that our politics lacks civility and that the answer to that is deference to the left. But this is important. Do not believe for a second that the left will ever meet you halfway. They absolutely will not ever. You offer up a compromise to them and they're going to move further left because their ideology isn't about policy wins. It's not about winning on individual issues. Their ideology is about replacing American values with Marxist values.
Finally, those capitalist pigs will pay for their crimes, eh? Hey, comrades?
It's a long game. If their ideology was about policy wins, they would have accepted President Trump's DACA compromise. In the Harvard-Harris poll, several months in a row, over 60% of Americans said they were for that compromise. Over 60% of Hispanic Americans were for that compromise. A border wall and a merit-based system of immigration. In exchange, all the DACA recipients would get a path to citizenship. That is a great compromise that Trump offered up to Democrats. Especially, it's a great compromise for the Democrats, especially given the fact that Republicans control both houses of Congress and the White House. It's a great compromise if the left were about policy wins, but they are not. The left is about replacing American values with the Marxist values that have failed everywhere. All right? These people have always existed in America. It's not new to have nutty, revolutionary, anti-American leftist loons in the population. The difference is, up until now, no party would dare harbor them. No party would dare enable them. Step in the Wayback Machine, and let's go back 117 years. William McKinley is president of the United States. He's pressing flesh at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. There's 2 gunshots. An anarchist named Leon Czolgosz just shot the president twice. And he would have shot him a 3rd time if it hadn't been for a black man from Georgia named James Parker. James Parker beat Czolgosz down. All right, and the crowd, there was a great big crowd all around him. The crowd was going to lynch Czolgosz. But the president ordered them to stop. Even after taking a fatal bullet from this assassin, President McKinley still believed in due process over mob justice. While he was bleeding, after watching Czolgosz shoot him, McKinley still believed in due process over mob justice. Czolgosz shot the president because he was radicalized by the anarchist movement that was born in, guess where? Chicago! Big surprise there. Chicago is like the crappy politics capital of the universe. All right, so here's some things that Czolgosz said afterward. I killed President McKinley because I done my duty. I didn't believe one man should have so much service and another man should have none. He wasn't just an anarchist, he was a socialist, a radicalized socialist. I never had much luck at anything, and this preyed upon me. It made me morose and envious. I am an anarchist. I am a disciple of Emma Goldman. Her words set me on fire. I don't regret my act because I was doing what I could for the great cause. I don't believe in the Republican form of government, and so on. For more about Czolgosz, read a book. It's called The President and the Assassin, McKinley, Terror, and Empire at the Dawn of the American Century. It's by Scott Miller, and it's an amazing book. It provides an in-depth look not just at McKinley, but at Czolgosz and the political movement that inspired him. Czolgosz is not really different from the radicalized socialist who decided to go to the ballpark and gun down Republican congressmen. Right? The guy who nearly killed Steve Scalise. If it were 1901, Scalise would have died because there wouldn't have been the medical know-how that we have now. Now, I am not saying that all the radical leftists are Leon Czolgosz. Right? Even back then, all the anarchists weren't Leon Czolgosz. They weren't all shooting the president. I'm just pointing out that radical politics are about emotion and personality and the propaganda of the deed. They're not about anything that makes sense. The propaganda of the deed doesn't have to be, doing what Czolgosz did. That's just the most extreme example. Screaming at people in restaurants is the propaganda of the deed, right? That's the left's new tactic. You do something crazy, you put it on social media, and you show everybody, oh, look, here's me screaming at Ted Cruz when he's trying to have dinner. That's the left's new tactic. Not long ago, we saw it happen to Ted Cruz, we saw it happen to Mitch McConnell, we saw it happen to Sarah Sanders. Now we see people on Twitter saying to do it to Susan Collins, right? They send out their orders, right? They come straight from Maxine Waters. Don't let these people have any peace if you see them in public. The far left is dangerous because they don't share our American values. But people keep pretending that they do. Like if we pretend enough that they share those values, then they will suddenly share them. But they don't. Now, that's not Democrats. I'm not talking about Democrats. Lots of Democrats who are just people in this country share those values. All right? And I think our Democratic politicians share those values. I don't think our Democratic politicians are like the far, far left. But I do think that they are enablers. I think that they want the votes of the far, far left. I think they are willing to sacrifice American values for the power that those votes can give them. All right, so saying the Democrats overplayed their hand on Kavanaugh is like saying, hey, that Mount Everest is pretty tall. Right? It's like saying, hey, that Die Hard movie was pretty good. Or how about Bill Shakespeare? He was a decent poet. Right? They overplayed their hand so badly, they are in very big trouble next month. Right? In case you didn't know, there's a big midterm election coming up next month. All right, this extreme leftism that everybody just witnessed on the national stage is not a good look, and it is not going to win the Democrats anything in November. Informed Americans, even Democrats, despise leftism. It is not popular. In real America, women care about all the issues. Women do the same kind of analysis that men do. Women are all individual people who have lived different lives and have different ideas. In cuckoo leftist America, women are abortion mongers who can't think about or care about anything except access to abortion. In real America, Hispanic Americans care about all the issues. They do the same kind of analysis as every other American. But in cuckoo leftist America, all they care about is open borders. It's collectivism versus individualism. In collectivism, you don't think for yourself because you're part of a group and that's your identity. That's why the left wouldn't look at this as an individual case where Ford and Kavanaugh were individual people. They tried to reframe it as metoo versus toxic masculinity, and you had to pick one. Well, do you like the metoo movement where women talk about the terrible experiences that they've had? Or do you like toxic masculinity? Do you support the men who have done these things to them? Okay, that is a false choice, and that is not what this case was about. But this is how they tried to reframe it. It's Me Too versus toxic masculinity. And if you require any evidence, and you're not just willing to believe Ford automatically, then you hate women. And you like people who abuse women. That's insane. Nobody likes people who abuse women. There's nobody like that. What woke professors now call feminism is not feminism at all. It is female collectivism. It is about building radical value armies who receive trickle-down thought from political action committees. All identity politics are the same, and this is what all identity politics are about. That's why the left uses identity politics to create collectivism over individualism. Right? They're just about the left building collectivist armies to carry out the thought orders of political action committees. It is all sick, and America noticed, and it is going to cost the Democratic Party next month. In late August, the IBD tip poll had the generic congressional race at Democrats plus 11. This week, they have it at Democrats plus 2. In the Real Clear Politics average of the polls, Trump approval is up 3 points from mid-September. He's going up during the Kavanaugh hearings. A new poll shows Marsha Blackburn polling 10 points better in Tennessee than she did 2 weeks ago. Donnelly is dropped in Indiana. McCaskill is dropped in Missouri. Heidi Heitkamp is finished. She didn't need to vote for Kavanaugh to save herself like Joe Manchin did because she is done. Bye, Heidi.
Bye-bye.
Wait, how long do you think this vote will hurt Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota politics? Let's ask the kid from The Sandlot.
Forever.
Yeah, I had a feeling he would know. Heidi Heitkamp was up 3 in February. Now she is down 12. The Democrats overplayed their hand badly, and polls keep showing that it did not impress anyone. Last show, I gave you the numbers from the Harvard-Harris poll. If Kavanaugh's two accusers say they were sexually harassed by Kavanaugh when he was in high school and college, but Kavanaugh says these incidents did not happen, should Kavanaugh's nomination proceed or should he withdraw his nomination? 57% say proceed. That is a huge number. You cannot get to that number with just Republicans. A majority of independents said proceed. And guess what? 33% of Democrats said proceed. These are the Democrats you don't even know exist because they aren't all over your TV acting insane 24 hours a day. They aren't accosting Ted Cruz in a restaurant. They're the Democrats who still believe in American values like the presumption of innocence. And believe me, there are lots of Democrats that are like that. It just seems like there aren't because they're all hidden from us. They aren't the Democrats doing the McPunditry on CNN. They're the Democrats who live next door to you, who are normal human beings. All right, next question. If Kavanaugh's two accusers say they were sexually harassed by Kavanaugh when he was in high school and college, but they cannot offer any evidence to corroborate the claims, and Kavanaugh says these incidents did not happen, should Kavanaugh's nomination proceed or should he withdraw his nomination? 61% say proceed. 59% of independents and 38% of Democrats. Only the far, far left believes what the Democrats did was right. Look at the numbers of people who actually want Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. They are much lower than the number of people who believe that he shouldn't be ruined by unfounded accusations. See, the Democrats don't get that nuance. They think that if you're against somebody being on the court, oh, then you must be for destroying them at all costs. That's where the Democrats messed up. They thought, well, look at this poll. This poll says a big percentage of people don't want Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. Ergo, they are cool with us destroying him at all costs. No. That is not an ergo. But that's how they operate in the Democratic Party. That is not how the average American expects our politics to operate. You can be against someone without believing that they should be destroyed at all costs. Democrats don't understand that, and it is going to cost them big next month. All right, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, leave a review for me. Send me your thoughts at patriots@eddiezipper.com, patriots@eddiezipper.com. That's it for today. I'm out of here.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
You just listened to Politics for Patriots with Eddie Zipper. Email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com. And please subscribe.